Hey guys, it's Drummond. So today I wanted to make a video dedicated to my mom. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, she is my hero. So recently I actually went over to my mom's house and she said something that was extremely crazy to me. She said that she failed me and my sisters as a mother, and honestly, she couldn't be any more wrong, because there are so many things that she did for me growing up that has really inspired who I am today. And I wanted to take a minute and make a video dedicating it to her, just so she knows how important she is to me. So my mom has definitely been through some pretty intense moments in her life, and I have tried to help her out as much as possible. She actually gave me like a little figurine, like mouse with a Superman cape on it, and she wrote me this really nice letter that told me that she looked at me as her hero. And I figured that I could turn the tables and let her know that she's pretty much my inspiration and my hero in life as well, because I wouldn't be the kind, caring person that I am without her. So I guess the first thing I'd really like to talk about is when my mom and dad got a divorce. So things got really bad in their marriage. So my mom tried to stay in the marriage and make things work out. But when it got to the physical and verbal violence that she was experiencing, I just really was proud of her for being strong enough to leave my dad and take us with her. Honestly, the whole court thing was a nightmare to grow up with, but I knew it was important and I knew my mom was doing the right thing. To this day, I still don't feel like the court system is really set up to where children end up where they should be. I feel like it is a whole money game, and whoever has the most money is going to end up with custody of the children. I feel like people need to really realize that money isn't everything, because my mom gave me everything that I needed growing up, and she didn't have money compared to my dad's side of the family where all the money was. Granted, they did help pay for a lot of my schooling, but when it came to the important things that I feel like I needed as a child, my mom was kind of the one that gave all of those things to me. And no matter what hoops they made her jump through in court, she did it because she loved us so much. I will say at one point, the lawyer that my dad had hired to help him win custody of me and my sisters actually tried to make my mom seem like a bad person. They brought up that my mom was raising me to be gay and my sisters to be sluts, when all in all, she wasn't really raising me to be gay. She was raising me to love everything that I am. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I didn't come out until I was in college. So at the time, no one really knew I was gay, but because I was in show choir, because I was in theater, because most of my friends were girls, they just assumed that I was gay. And my dad and his lawyer decided to blame my mom for that. I mean, at this point, I don't really see anything wrong with raising a child to love themselves for who they are. And for the whole, my sister being raised to be a slut, my sister didn't have any boyfriends during school. She actually didn't start dating people until she got to college, so raising her to be a slut, I'm not really sure what they meant by that. But my mom did whatever it took to make sure that my sisters and I had what we needed to be happy in life. I know there's a lot of times when my mom actually had to borrow money from her friends so that she could help us pay for field trips and things that we needed for theater, for show choir, or for whatever we were a part of at school. We never really felt the tension of not being able to have what we needed for school. And I really thank my mom for doing that, because she took a lot of horrible jobs, and I know that she put up with a lot to make sure that we had what we needed. Something else I would really like to put out there is the fact that my mom was actually abused when she was little by her dad and brothers, and it ended up happening to me as well, but it wasn't until I was 14 that my mom actually told me that it had happened to her as well, and that's the whole reason why she cut off all ties to her family. So this wasn't a divorce where my mom cut off ties with my dad and his family and had a supportive family to fall back on. My mom cut off all ties with my dad and his family because she knew what was good for her, and she did it all by herself. Of course, she had support from friends, but even when it came to stuff like that, friends weren't always there for her. There were so many times when I saw my mom suffering and I just wanted to be there for her, and I knew she was giving up so much just to make sure that we were happy. My mom actually struggles with depression and a few other things. And during her last couple of years of marriage, she started taking medication. And when it came to her medications, a lot of times after her and my dad got divorced, she didn't have money for her medications. So my mom ended up going without medication that she probably needed to stay sane. And at some point she really resorted to other things like drinking to kind of calm herself down from all the crazy thoughts and stuff going on in her head. And when it comes to mental illness, it's something that you really never win the battle on. It's something that you're constantly having to adjust your medications and all of that. So I know one thing that she struggles with is depression and anxiety. So right now, when it comes to her medications, there's some days where she seems perfectly okay, and then other days where her anxiety and depression are just coming in really strong. And I just want her to know that I don't judge her for that, just because mental illness is something that is really hard to overcome, and it's something that you are constantly having to fight. And through it all, my mom stayed really strong, and she's always been there for us. And through every single thing, she's always made sure that we know that she loves us. There have been times where the lack of medication really changed who she was, and she suffered through that, but it's something that she worked through and somehow came out on top every single time. I was actually just listening to Fergie's song on her new album where she talks about we're all just a little bit broken, and a verse in that song, it was just like so touching to me, because she talks about a mom who is raising the children alone, and the mom promises the children that it's all gonna be all right. And I can remember several times where my mom promised us that things were going to get better and things were gonna be all right. I actually remember after we moved to our second house with our mom, I was not a big fan of my dad. I never liked really spending time with him, just because mainly when my mom and him were together, he was never really there in my life. He was always at work, and when he was home, he didn't really participate in the family activities. And so when my parents got divorced, I didn't really see any point in me going to see him during visitation. And there was actually this one time where my dad wanted visitation with me and my sisters, and we didn't want to go. So our mom didn't force us, and she actually stood up for us and told my dad that he couldn't have us, that we didn't want to go. So my dad actually ended up calling the police on her for preventing him from taking us that weekend, and it all ended up in court. And then my mom actually got a felony against her for not allowing my dad to have us. And that kind of screwed her up when it came to getting jobs. It screwed her up when it came to picking us up at school, because when you've got a felony on your chart, it's something that the schools take very seriously. And so my mom wasn't able to attend any more field trips with us. She couldn't come on the trips with us for my competitions, because someone with a felony is not allowed to do that. So I kind of felt like they played it very dirty. I feel like my dad and his lawyer were constantly digging for horrible things. I remember finding a document from one of the counseling sessions I had to go to throughout the divorce process, and I remember reading it and reading what my dad had said about me as a person, and it really just built up a wall around me that I would not let my dad break down, because I'm one of those people that I care and I want to always help the underdog. And I felt like my mom, no matter how hard she fought, my dad and grandparents' money was always going to win in the end. So I just wanted to make this video so that you guys could see how amazing my mom is. She's a real superhero, and I just know I wouldn't be who I am today without her love and her guidance in life. But I would love to hear your stories, so if you want, you can leave some comments in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!